Today we'll be building this Parallax website in just a few minutes. The magic behind Parallax is that the images move at different speed. As you can see as I scroll, there is a clear distinction between the background, the middle ground, and the foreground. And of course, the text, because the text goes behind the foreground. Let's get started. Now to get this started, we have our index.html. There is a simple structure here where we are linking our CSS, giving a title, and linking our script.js. As for our script.js, it's completely empty, and in our style.css we are importing a font, setting back the margin to 0 and an overflow of hidden, applying the font here, using flexbox to align everything to the center, setting a background color, and setting a text color. To get started with all of this, first of all we are going to create a header. Inside this header there is going to be an h2 called logo, and there is going to be a nav element. In this there are going to be 4 elements called home, about, services, and contact. After that we are going to have 2 sections. One of them is going to be the class container. The other one is going to be with the class text. First off, let's finish the text section. So in the text section there is essentially just an h1 and some paragraph elements, just to fill up the space. As for the container section, we are going to put here our elements. There is going to be the background, the foreground. We have all these images that I've cut up. So let's start off with that. There is going to be an image and give it the source background. Also, we'll be giving each of these an ID. This one's going to be background. The second image is going to be the foreground. Then 2 more images, the midground and the foreground. One last thing in here is that we'll be having a text. So to put this text between the foreground and the background, we are going to say an h1. It's going to have the ID title, and it's going to say Parallax website. So coming back to our website, this is what we've got. We've got the header, and there are pieces of what we've inserted, the images and the text. So to make it work, let's go back to our CSS. Let's work on the header first. So the header is going to have position absolute, and we want to position it to the top of our page. That's why we're giving it top and left 0. We want it to have 100% width, and the height will be 70 pixels. The Z index is going to be important because we want the navbar to be always on top, so it's going to be 100. We then justify the content to space between. This is going to put space between the logo and the nav element. And as for the align items, we are going to say justify to the start. Let's also format the font so its font size larger and there is a text color. And also set user select to none so that the user is not able to select anything from our navbar. Let's format the h2 inside the header. Let's give it some padding, and also pointer events none so that they are not able to select anything from the h2 elements. Now for our nav element, the height should be 100%. We use flexbox and give a 20 pixel gap between the elements. Also justify everything to the center and give some padding to these two. Now for the A elements, there is going to be text decoration none. So we disable the default behavior, give it a distinct color, and also a transition easy out because we are going to apply a hover effect here. In the hover effect, we choose the transform scale animation 1.05 so that it's 5% bigger when we hover over it, and also give them a white color. With that, we are done with our navbar. Let's check what we've got. Alright, the alignment is not nice, and that's simply because I forgot to give display flex here. Otherwise the flex properties won't work. Now it's all done. Our navbar is looking nice. time to work on the container. So for the container, we're going to say position relative because the images are going to be absolute so that it gives us the parallax effect. We are going to say display flex to use the flex property and align everything to the center. Also give it a width and height of 100 viewport height and 100 viewport width units. Now before we touch our images, let's work on the text section and let's wrap that up. It's going to have a position relative. Let's set some width and height to it. Also give it some margin, 0 on the top and the bottom, 2 rem units on the sides, and offset it by 120 pixels, minus 120 pixels. This is needed because the parallax effect plays with our positioning a bit. Align the text to the center. We are going to use flexbox. The flex direction is going to be of type column. We justify vertically to the start and horizontally to the center. Now to go over the H1 and the P elements, simply give it some font size and some color. And as for the P, set its width to an 80% and set some base font size and text alignment. Coming back now, this is our text. And now to work on the images, we are going to say the position is going to be absolute for every single image. The width is going to be 100% and we set the WebKit user drag to none. These are just some convenient settings, as well as the user select to none, because this way the users won't be able to drag the elements and cause some weird behavior. Now if we come back, you can see that here's our image. There are gaps between the images, so we'll have to fix that offset. That's only because I messed up while cutting the images, but if you have any parallax package, chances are they won't be messed up like I did. So you don't have to worry about it, but we'll fix it here. So now we just go around and select all the IDs that we've given. So for example, the title, the Z index for this one is going to be 3. We have 5 images. Let's also give it some font size. Its position will be absolute and we offset it towards the top by 70 pixels. So if I say minus 70 pixels, it's going to align it down. But if I say top 70 pixels, it's going to go upwards. Let's also format the text, giving it some color and some text shadow. Now let's go with the foreground. We are going to move it up by minus 40 pixels. So by 40 pixels. And the Z index for this one is going to be 5. The higher the Z index, the more in the foreground it's going to be. As for the midground, we also set it because, as I said, I messed up the cutting of the images, and the Z index of 5. As for the background, also offset it a little bit, and the Z index of 2. And as for the background, we don't have to offset it. We set its top position to 0 because it has to start on the top of the page. And the Z index is going to be 1 for this one. Alright, also make sure those IDs are checked so that you don't make any mistakes. And if we come back here, then you can see here is our background. It's quite nice, they are all in place. And now all we need to do is make them move. So for that we are going to jump onto our JavaScript. Inside our JavaScript, we need to get a hold of all the elements that we've given ID to that we want to scroll. So for example, we are going to say the foreground is going to be equal to document and dot get element by ID. We are looking for an ID, and since we've given it the foreground ID, it's going to give us back just that element. So for the midground, it's going to be the same document dot get element by ID, and we are looking for the midground element. I'm going to do the same for all the other elements, including the title. There we go. With all the elements right now. What we are going to do now is we have the window object, which is basically our website. we are going to add an event listener to it, and it's going to listen. You can see there are a lot of events here. We are going to listen to the scroll event. Then we pass in a function. This function is going to get executed whenever we scroll. We are going to update a variable here. Let scroll y, which is going to be equal to the window.scroll y. This is going to check the position of how much we've scrolled from the top of the page. Then we are going to put here an if statement. Now this is solely because the messed up cutting, but it's also good if you are working with the perfectly cut pictures. We are going to check if the scroll y is equal to 0, because if it is, then we have to reset it to the base positions that it had in the CSS. So foreground dot style dot top position is going to be -40 plus the pixel that we want to give. Then I'm going to do the same for the midground. Remember, these are the same values that we've set in our CSS. This is just for the case if something goes wrong and we scroll back to the top, so that everything is aligned nicely. And I'm going to do the same for the other properties as well. So here we have it. I'm setting the foreground as well, the background. They are all set, and also the title. The title, this is what I've calculated will be good. It's set by the scroll y, but since it's 0, we could also just get this out. And what's important here is after this we return. Alright, so whatever we write after this, if the scroll y is 0, won't be executed. And now for the real movement, we are going to say the same foreground.style.the top property. We are going to set equal to the scroll y times, you have to experiment with this, but I already did, so -1.5 -40, -40 is because that's the basic setting, plus the pixel, and this is going to move our foreground. If I come back and scroll, you can see how our foreground moves, but we need to move all of them. So while doing parallax, the main thing is that the closer the element is, the faster it has to move. That's why the foreground is going to move the fastest. And also the midground, I experimented with this and decided that it should move in the same way the foreground does. So -1.5 -30, because that's how we offset it, and then pixels. Now for the foreground, this one is going to be moving slower. So style.top, so scroll y times only -1 here, or also the offset -30 pixels, plus we give it the unit. As for the background, we are going to say the same scroll y times -0.5, so it's even slower now, plus the unit. We didn't offset this, so there is no need. And as for the title, it's simply going to be, so scroll y times 0.3, and here this is not a minus because I want it to go upwards, plus 70, this is the basic offset, plus we give it the type of unit we want to set it in. And there we go. Now this should give us the parallax effect that we are looking for. So you can see now, if we try it out, if we are scrolling, everything is, as we are scrolling, going up and off. And you can see how the background, the midground and the foreground moves at different speed. Also, the text is going to go upwards a bit, while the foreground fully hides it. Alright, so that's it for our basic parallax site. Remember, you can make any images parallax if you cut them the right way. If you enjoyed the video and would like to see more, please consider subscribing and dropping us a like below. It helps us out a lot. And with that, I hope to see you in the next one.